Hi, my name is Pam Denny. I'm the designer and architect of the Maximo BI or Business Intelligence tools. In today's demo recording, I want to highlight some of the new Maximo 7.6 reporting features. And the feature we want to talk about is the Maximo request page. The request page in Maximo is one of the different ways that your users can access and run reports. It contains critical information about the parameters of a report, along with scheduling and emailing features. So to highlight this, let's go right into a demo. And here I'm signed in to Maximo 7.6, and I'm going to slide over here to Report Admin and have a quick link to the asset application. So imagine I, as a user, Mike Wilson, I'm in asset and I do a filter on location of BR. These are all the assets that I'm responsible for. But now I want to run a couple of reports. So I'm going to bring up my Run Report dialog, and now I see all the reports that I as a user have access to. And again, this is configured via your security settings in Report Admin, but Mike in this case has access to all of the asset reports. And let's look at the different request pages that we have. Well, let's bring up asset details. So I bring up asset details and I notice that there's two sections, scheduling and emailing. There's no option here for parameters. And the reason this occurs is that many of our reports are what we call launch in context, or that they use the application query as their parameter or as their where clause. So in this case, when I run asset details, it's going to append my query where location equals BR and give me those results automatically. If I wanted to maybe not run this report immediately, I could schedule it, and I have those two options. And then on the bottom, we have our emailing capability. If I schedule a report, I need to email it, define who it's going to go to, what type of file format it's going to be sent as, and if it's actually going to be sent in the email as the file attachment or with a URL. And the URL, when the user selects it, will bring him to the report viewer. Well, I want to execute this report immediately, so you can see how that where clause or application query is passed. You can see I have 14 results here. And again, if you remember, when I came here to the dialog, I had 14 individual assets, and each one of those is automatically appended. So it saves the user a number of keystrokes, saves them from keying in incorrect errors or assets. That's the beauty of the launch in context or no parameter type report. But let's talk about the other type of report we have and some of the options that are available to you in 7.6. And in this case, I'm going to look at the details of asset failures. Now watch what happens when I open this dialog. Whoa, it's big, it's long. In this case, this individual report has 8 different parameters, and they're all listed lengthwise. So I have a lot of parameter information. This is all empty space, and then my scheduling and emailing. So now if I open up the emailing, all of a sudden we have to do scrolling, and we all know users don't like to scroll. Before I tell you how you can configure this, I want to highlight that these parameters are very typical to what you see in Maximo. The orange asterisk, is a required parameter. You have to input a value. It's got the various lookups. There's date lookups. These are all non-required. But again, let's make these a little bit more user-friendly so that my user, when he's actually executing this type of report, which doesn't use the application query, but in this case uses specific user inputted values, is a little bit more comfortable with the request page. So how do we do that? I'm going to cancel out of here and cancel out of this dialog. And let's go over to the My Recent Applications. Love this feature in Maximo 7.6. And let's go find that report that we had. It is Details of Asset Failures right here. Well, let me open him up in Report Admin, and let's just scroll down here a minute and see what's going on. Yep, here's all those individual 8 parameters. And remember how when I looked at that, it had that huge length of parameters. And if I don't remember, just click here on Preview. And what we want to do is we want to clean this page up a little bit. Well, by default, because we don't know how many parameters you might have and what your options are, we assume that all the parameters, if there are some for a report, will display in one length. Well, let's see what happens if we make it 2 columns. Let's just save that value. Let's generate our request page. Whenever we make a cosmetic page like this, you have to regenerate the request page. Close. Whoops. And let's look at it again. Whoa, look at that. Look at how much more condensed that is and easy to read. With just a very simple change in report admin, I've reconfigured my report. Instead of that single column, I've made it 2 columns so it's tighter and it enables me to read the values better. Now, when you do this, you might want to reevaluate the order of your parameters. You have to understand or try to understand, are my users going to go down or are they going to go across? So for example, I might want my start date and end date right next to each other. So I might have to work on the reordering my parameters. So again, how do we do that? This is the new feature in 7.6, number of request page columns. Come over here, make it 3. Let's see what happens. Save it. Generate your request page. And after that's done, and the request page, the time will always vary depending on the reports you're executing, your connection, etc. And now I have it in 3 columns. Oh, I should have done 4 because I have a nice even number of parameters there. I messed up. So let me try that again. I don't know. Oops. Oh, that's a great thing I did that, right? So what did I do? I tried to input 4 and I save it. And it gives me a message, hey, you can't do that. You need to stay between 1 and 3. Oh, that's all right. I actually liked the 3 fine. So let me preview it again. And now you can again see it's a much tighter display, much more configurable, much more easier for your user to use. If he opens up the email option, the number or the amount of scrolling is much more minimized than what he had previously. So again, to recap what we've done here, I introduced the request page in Maximo 7.6, showed you for some of our reports like asset details that do not have those parameter values. For example, here's the asset details. When we click at a preview, there is no parameter section because he's going to be using the launching context or the application query when he executes the report. And that compares to our other one, details of asset failures. In this case, there are a number of parameters. So what I've done here is I have a new column called number of, let me slide that over there, number of request page columns. The value is from 1 to 3. And so I can tighten up, especially if I have a large number of parameter values, so that my page isn't so long. It's more user friendly. It's easier to work with. So those are just some of the new features for Maximo reporting in 7.6. Thank you very much for your time.